I want to give a big shout out to Hire UA.
He really does want the best for you, for your company.
It's so easy. I can pay it through a credit card.
I'm really outstanding, actually, at the quality of the candidate.
The best candidates I've ever interviewed.
I've had a really good experience, so I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, this is the greatest decision I've ever made.
Highly recommend working with them.
HireUA.com, and you'll get some great candidates.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Kyle. I'm the founder here at Hire UA, and today we've got one of our clients, Andre, who is the co-founder of KnowledgeX, a lead gen agency, as well as the co-founder of Client Ascension, which is a fantastic coaching community that I've gotten some really good results with. So he's going to be talking today about his recent hire, who was an inbox manager, Katerina. So welcome on, man. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Appreciate the kind words and the great introduction there. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, so you've done a lot of hiring before. You've built quite a few businesses, and we finally got to work together for the first time. It was in December, and you came to us for an inbox manager for KnowledgeX. So can you briefly just kind of talk about what KnowledgeX does specifically and what you were bottlenecked with when you came to us?
Yeah, 100%. So KnowledgeX is a cold email lead generation agency, and so essentially all we're doing is helping our clients to get clients for their business by sending out emails on their behalf. And cold email, there's tons of different strategies and ways you can approach it. The most important thing that we focus on is personalization and making it conversational. And the reason a lot of people shy away from that is because it's not very scalable. The reason it's not very scalable is because some human needs to be there to respond to all the replies we receive in response to the email campaigns we send out. And not only respond with templates, but respond in a meaningful, thoughtful way, because that's what gets the prospect to then respond back and show at least some interest in working with you. And so I used to do this on my own because, again, it's a pretty high-level skill set on the surface.
It is.
Yeah. Really, you need like sales psychology. You need to really understand sales and marketing and human psychology and communication. And so I took ownership of it. As we scaled up and we took on more and more clients, it wasn't as feasible because you now have responses coming in for multiple clients, and each client has different responses that need to be sent back, different information you need to remember, pricing, right? Because each client is its own separate account.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't manage it very well once it got to a certain point. And not only that, the most important thing with inbox management that I didn't realize until after was not really the actual response. I mean, that's still very important, but the one thing people don't think about is time to response. And so obviously I'm, business owner, so I'm in all different areas of the business throughout the day. If someone is, think about right now, if someone responded to an email for a client, I'm on a call with Kyle, I can't get back to them. And so I needed someone on my team specifically dedicated just to inbox management, and that's when I went to Kyle to make the hire. Actually, I tried a few different ways on my own first, which didn't work out, and then I eventually went to Kyle.
What were those ways?
So I tried the hiring process on my own, and so again, like I was in my head about, okay, this is a very high level role. They need sales experience. They need to understand sales psychology, and they need to write really proficient English because they're sending emails and on behalf of my clients. If it was on behalf of me, like I wouldn't be as careful because it's me. But when you're doing something on behalf of a client, there's way more thought and care that goes into it because it's someone beyond yourself. And so I wanted to make sure I'm hiring very high level people. So I hired people in the US, and it wasn't that they weren't good at the role. It's just that the role really can't afford to pay that much because it's just one very small part of the process, but it is very important. And so what happened is we just churned everyone that we hired because we couldn't afford to pay them enough. And I would have loved to pay them more, but we just simply couldn't afford to pay them more. And so we got the talent piece down, but we couldn't get the value piece down or the pricing. And then
what did that cost you in the U.S.?
In the U.S., I was paying, I want to say like anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour is what it averaged up to. And that they weren't happy with that. It's not even that's a lot. It's the fact that they weren't even happy with that, which I understand because the type of people we were hiring are also qualified to go out and be setters and closers and probably earn even more. And so there wasn't enough leverage I had to maintain someone into that role.
Yeah,
so there was a lot
sense.
of churn.
Got it. What was the process like when you came to us? Obviously, you talked to me. We kind of spelled out the role, and then you added to the Slack channel with my team. How did it go from there?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that made us get on to a fast start was just the fact that I understood the role and exactly what I was looking for. And part of the reason why is because I've been able to work with you in different areas as well, not just through Hire UA, but like you mentioned, through Client Ascension. And so I've also been able to learn like best practices from you on how to go about the hiring process. So there wasn't really like a learning curve I had to go through. I knew exactly what we wanted. I knew exactly the qualifications. I'll be honest, I wasn't very confident that someone overseas would be able to come in and do this job as to the standards that maybe a U.S. person would. But you definitely proved me wrong. But going back to the process, I came to you and said, this is what we need. These are the types of qualities we're looking for, like sales background, and you went out and you found, I can't remember how many, but I want to say like at least 5 resumes.
6, I think. Yeah.
6 resumes, like very quickly, within maybe a 24-hour period even from when we really started the process, of people that you thought would be a fit for the role. And then we went about coordinating interviews. So I got on interviews with all of them. Some people were interested, some people weren't. I had my thoughts on some of the prospects, and it ultimately just came down to making a hiring decision. And I want to say the nice thing about working with you is you guided me through that entire process. You didn't just hand me over resumes and said good luck. You guided me through, how do you conduct an interview? How do you determine what on an interview you should look for and make a hiring decision based off of? And through that entire process, and you also had communication with the people as well. So you would communicate to us like, hey, this person isn't interested after the interview, or they thought it would be something else, and that happens. So having that, you guys basically in our corner was huge.
Yeah, I've actually got the numbers here. So you started on December 2nd. We found CVs by like the 3rd. Yep, there you go. December 6th, you had your interviews. The 9th, you chose someone, and she started on the 13th. So that was the rundown there. Less than 10 days, basically. Or just over 10 days, yeah. To start date, not to interviews. Yeah, it is, yeah. So you were saying, though, that you didn't think you could find somebody who could actually do this role who was abroad. And I believe in her first full month on the job, you gave her a pretty significant performance bonus because she did really well. So why don't you talk about just how she's been in your business, what she's been doing, and some of the highlights of that?
Yeah, so like you pointed out, just going to the actual numbers, because this is what will get people to want to listen to the rest of this. We pay, can I share the numbers of what we pay?
Yeah, it's like $1,000, right?
Yeah, okay. So
yeah,
we pay $1,000 a month for a part-time inbox manager, and I always like to incentivize any sales-related roles for performance. So on top of the retainer, we pay $10 for every call that is booked for a client, because that's like the ultimate goal of the role, is to schedule calls for our clients. And so I want to incentivize them outside of just a retainer. Why would they want to go out and book more calls if they're just making the same retainer either way? So I add the performance bonus, and then the first month, Kate booked 50 calls for our clients combined, which earned her a $500 bonus, which is half of the retainer salary. 50% bonus in the first month. That's unheard of. And so, I mean, I could sit here and talk about things she's done well and how she's proven us wrong on like what skill sets and experience you need to succeed in a role like this, or just using a hiring service like yours. But the numbers don't lie. I mean, it's quite simple.
That's really good. Yeah, first full-time month. And that was a short month too. It's February, right?
Yeah,
so it's even a condensed month.
Yeah.
Excellent. Got it.
Exactly,
perfect. Well, that's all I really have for today. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
I will say, like, in business, I think speed is so important. Once you know that you need to make a hire and you also understand what you're hiring for, it's all about speed. One of my favorite entrepreneurs, Gary Vee, he always talks about hire fast, fire faster, promote fastest. And really the key theme there is just to move quick. And I think if you were to go about doing something like this alone, like I did, I probably trial and errored inbox management hires for 6 months before finding an actual solution outside of my own solution, which was through Kyle. And so
that took you 6 days.
So yeah, 6 months compared to 6 days, right? Do the numbers. And so, you know, I don't have any regrets. It's all a learning process at the end of the day, but I now know going forward, if I have hiring needs, talk to Kyle. And even before we turned on the recording, I let Kyle know about another hire I need to make, and pretty straightforward. I think we'll be able to get that hire maybe next week, which is great. So yeah, I really just appreciate your guidance, mentorship, and just offering a really good service in the market.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out Andre's stuff, go to clientascension.com or knowledgex.us, I think, right? Did I get that right?
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, I got it right. Cool. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being a Hire Your Way client.
Of course.
Cheers.